Good afternoon. Gunfire early this morning has rattled the Mississauga neighborhood.
The shooting involved police, and it happened near Winston Churchill and Dundas. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live now with more on what unfolded, as well as the investigation. What's the latest, Janice?
Hi, Michelle. Well, the SIU is investigating after a shooting that took place here overnight involving a Toronto police officer. Now, we are told that the shooting took place on Delphi Road, which is in the College Way and Council Ring Road area of Mississauga just before 12:30 a.m. The Special Investigations Unit says Toronto police officer were pursuing a Mercedes that had been stolen a day earlier. Monica Hooden says 5 unmarked cruisers were involved in the investigation and 3 became involved in a collision with the Mercedes. At one point, an officer discharged a firearm and struck the driver, who was pronounced dead at the scene. 3 other occupants of the Mercedes were taken into custody, but they were uninjured. One of the officers sustained minor injuries and was taken to hospital. Here's more from an eyewitness and the SIU.
The driveway went over, and I was like reading. I was up late. I was reading, and all I heard this bang, get off of me, and then next thing you know, it sounded like a huge car crash. So I ran outside, and I ran up to the scene, and the officers were giving a guy a heart massage. Like trying to resuscitate him.
Like CPR?
Yeah, CPR, that's the word I was looking for. He was giving him CPR, and it was just going crazy, and then they were securing the scene, but blood everywhere, and then I saw another guy, I think, across the street that may have been injured as well.
The preliminary information indicates that shortly before 12:30 a.m., Toronto Police Service officers located a vehicle that had been reported stolen the day prior. It was a Mercedes. Officers were able to track the vehicle to Delphi Road in Mississauga in the area of the College Way and Winston Churchill Boulevard. There was an interaction, and 3 unmarked vehicles from the police were involved in a collision with the Mercedes. Inside of the Mercedes, there were 4 occupants. Following that, one officer discharged a firearm into the vehicle, and the driver was struck.
Now, police have not confirmed the age of the person who was shot. However, eyewitnesses tell CTV News they believe the occupants of the Mercedes were no more than 15 or 16 years of age. Of course, however, we have not yet confirmed that detail. We will have more information as it becomes available. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Janice, and we will have more news in a moment. But first, let's shift gears and take a live look at our city this afternoon. There is sunshine, there is heat. Is there more heading our way? Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay, this is the day where the unsettled weather is due to move in.
Yes, it's a day, Michelle, where we have to have eyes on the sky because the threat of showers and even thunderstorms is going to be there today. Already seeing a little bit of shower activity in some areas. This is going to taper off. We're going to dry out and potentially clear out, but that could help fuel the development of thunderstorms a little later today, and this will help too. Some heat and humidity. Right now it's 25 degrees. It feels like 31, but it's going to be a lot muggier later this afternoon. Winds right now are light in nature. We do expect a change in wind direction after the front moves through, so by this evening it will be a northwest breeze with gusts near 40 kilometers per hour. Ahead of that, though, a southwest wind. 30 degrees is going to feel more like 38 at the height of the afternoon. And it's not just today that we're looking at some unsettled weather. We'll talk about the chance of showers and risk of storms for Friday and possibly Saturday. That's all coming up in your weather forecast. For now, though, Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, artificial intelligence has permeated all aspects of life, and there are calls for the province to create a framework for the future of AI data centers here in Ontario.
Several cities, including Toronto and Mississauga, have enacted moratoriums on building new centers as they try and determine what the next steps should be. Now, the Green Party is calling for a province-wide freeze on new centers until safeguards can be put in place. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with more details on this. Siobhan.
Well, Nathan, this really has become a hot-button issue, especially on the eve of municipal elections right across Ontario. We're hearing now from advocates and from the Green Party that they want some answers, some guardrails, before any new data centers come online. We heard from advocates today raising a lot of questions around what happens with water, with noise, with the security around these data centers. We know that this is something that the government is working on, some sort of rules and regulations, but we don't have a clear picture yet about when those guardrails will be installed, when a new policy from the province will come online. And so that's prompting this call for everybody to pump the brakes.
We will get the possibility of noise water pollution, loss of jobs, as well as our personal data weaponized against us.
Hydro Ottawa just came out saying that the number of data center proposals that are asking to be connected to the grid in the next 2 years is roughly equivalent to the amount of demand for electricity the entire city of Ottawa. Like, we simply can't afford for the Ford government to continue to drag its feet.
Now, at their last meeting, Toronto City Council voted pretty strongly to to pressure the provincial government to come up with some sort of policy that can be applied province-wide by early next year. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Police have provided an update on last week's shooting at the U.S. Consulate.
It was the second shooting at the University Avenue building this year. CB24's Beatrice Vaisman was at that police update and has a recap. Beatrice.
Nathan, Michelle, you might remember after the March 10th shooting at the U.S. Consulate, police came out and said that they believed that there was a gun-for-hire network that was operating not only here in the city, but possibly across the country with tentacles, and outside as well, in international countries as well. And so today we heard a very similar message from the chief and from Chief Superintendent Joe Matthews. They believe that the two people who have been arrested, a 19-year-old man and a 15-year-old boy, who are now charged with more than a dozen offenses each, that they are both operating in this gun-for-hire network. How does it work? Well, police say that young men, boys, are being recruited through these encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegram. They're being offered some money to carry out violence just like this, shooting their gun at various places. We've seen it at various businesses in the past, including Jewish-owned businesses, and now we've seen it for a second time back on July 27th. Shots fired at the U.S. Consulate. Police telling us and showing us some new video surveillance footage, which shows this white Honda Accord they say was a stolen vehicle going southbound on University. Multiple shots fired, one bullet striking the facade of the U.S. Consulate. An officer is now stationed 24/7 outside the U.S. Consulate, heard it, saw it, followed the vehicle onto the DVP, and that's when police called off the pursuit. Police say they found that vehicle abandoned in Scarborough the next day, and now say this 15-year-old boy and 19-year-old man also carried out an alleged arson in Caledon 3 days earlier. Here's more from Chief Demke.
One of the accused is 19 years old and has been charged with 15 offenses. The second accused is just 15 years old and is facing 17 offenses. Both are charged with multiple counts of failing to comply with their court-ordered release conditions.
And so police are not revealing today, at least, Nathan and Michelle, just how large this network is. I asked how many people in Toronto are involved, and the chief superintendent said about dozens. But as you go up the pyramid, this network of criminals gets wider and wider. Obviously, police now looking for the head of the snake. They want to find out who is responsible for hiring these young people, recruiting them, offering them a bit of money to wreak havoc here in our city. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Beatrice. Just ahead, a look at new numbers showing how many Canadians feel they're likely to fall behind on credit card payments, as a quarter of Canadians admit they can only afford to pay the minimum each month.
One person is in critical condition after a hit and run in Brampton. Emergency crews called to the 410 northbound off-ramp to Steeles Ave around 12:30 this morning. Paramedics say a woman was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police believe the suspect vehicle will have damage to the front bumper, grille, and hood. Peel police are appealing for witnesses. Meanwhile, Durham police are investigating after a 14-year-old boy was struck by a pickup truck in Whitby last night. Police say the team was riding a bicycle near Garden Street and Manning Road when he was hit by the vehicle in the crosswalk. As the vehicle turned, the boy suffered serious, non-life-threatening injuries and was rushed to a trauma center. The 40-year-old woman driving the pickup remained on scene. There's no word on potential charges.
The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says slower home sales last month could be setting the stage for a market recovery. GTA Realtors reported just shy of 6,000 home sales in July, and that's down 0.9% from the same month last year. At the same time, new listings were down much more, sliding nearly 18% year over year. Looking at the average selling price last month, it was down 4.5% compared to July of last year at around $1,004,000.
We swung really quickly from what was an extreme seller's market in 2021 and the first part of 2022 to something that more was favoring buyers if there was a lot of negotiating power. So I think now when you look at sales, they're low, but what we've seen is a real drop-off in new listings. It's been a long time since we've seen that sort of scenario unfold, and I think that could be indicative that we're kind of at the bottom of the current cycle, and if we see some support for pricing, we'll start to see more people move off the sidelines and back into the market because they'll have more confidence that the value of their investment is going to hold up over time.
With recent readings on economic growth and jobs coming back more positive than expected, Treb says stronger consumer confidence could prompt an uptick in home purchases in the months ahead.
Fire crews across northern Ontario are still hard at work battling more than 150 wildfires. The most recent update from the province shows there were 3 new fires confirmed in the northwest as of yesterday evening for a total of 114. 17 blazes were considered out of control. There were no new wildland fires in the northeast on Wednesday, but 42 were still burning, with 1 considered not under control.
Meanwhile, thousands have been evacuated or are on alert in British Columbia, where wildfires have already destroyed more than 300 homes.
As the flames intensify, so does the battle to contain them. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson has more on the new warnings.
After surveying the smoking remains of his community from the sky, the chief of the Okanagan Indian Band says it's difficult to put into words what's been lost.
On that flight, I couldn't recognize my community. It looked like a war zone.
Chief Wilson believes the fire has destroyed more than 200 homes.
To see longtime elders that I've known all my life, the look on their faces because of their homes that were lost, really broke my heart.
He says the enormity of the emotional blow is only just beginning to sink in.
It's actually a grieving process. It's like somebody died, and somebody did die, those memories.
Wilson says some people only had 5 minutes to get out. Among them, Kevin Statham, who says he barely escaped a 12-meter wall of flames. He no longer has a home to go back to.
We lost everything. It's gone. It was my dad's house. It wasn't just mine. It's bad.
Retired firefighter Jeff Moore was forced to watch from the water as his lakeside Okanagan cabin burned to the ground.
It was a nut show in there. There was bombs going off everywhere, people having a lot of propane, vehicles exploding, all sorts of things. It was just a crazy time.
A couple of 100 kilometers to the northwest, near Clinton, another 100 buildings or more have been destroyed. Around the province, more than 11,000 properties are either evacuated or on alert. In Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, the smoke is leading to air quality advisories affecting millions. A situation overall officials describe as extremely dangerous.
Dangerous not only for people living in the affected communities. Yesterday, a helicopter being used to fight one of the more than 100 fires in the province crashed into a lake. Fortunately, the pilot survived and was sent to the hospital with minor injuries. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Prime Minister was here in Toronto yesterday announcing billions of dollars in funding to address a housing crisis in this city. But the question is, will it go far enough? For more on this, let's bring in CTV's Rachel Aiello. She's live in Ottawa for us this afternoon. Rachel, housing has been such a big issue for so long. Help us understand the commitment and overall Carney's affordable housing plans and how it's all going.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. So what we saw yesterday was a commitment of $2.7 billion specifically to build more rental housing in Toronto. We're talking about a spend that will go over 18 different projects, 5,600 new units. Of those, 2,000 are what the government is deeming affordable. So definitely trying to address the crisis in Toronto, but certainly when you look broadly across the country, kind of a piece of a bigger puzzle here. So the government has built this Build Canada Homes initiative specifically focused on increasing the amount of affordable housing supply there is across Canada. So far, new units they have committed to 17,000. Of those, though, just 1,900 are under construction as we speak. And when you kind of look even broader, we're talking about the Liberals running on a promise in the last election of getting to a place over 10 years of having 500,000 new homes built built a year. When you look at what the CMHC, the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Association, is estimating for 2026, it's only around about half of that, about 250,000 new homes. And the key caveat there is just new builds generally, not specifically affordable housing. So certainly welcome news for the folks in Toronto who are hoping to get cheaper rent and an easier, more affordable place to live, but certainly a long way to go still in the broader commitment of making housing more affordable in this country.
Definitely the sense lots more work to be done. Is there some bigger political significance to the PM making the spending pledge now?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and I think absolutely that is the case. Of course, voters in the Beaches East York riding within the Toronto area where the Prime Minister was yesterday will be going to the polls on August 31st. That is, of course, currently a Liberal-held riding, so the Prime Minister being able to spend some time there. We know he was campaigning later in the evening, making sure that voters in that region are aware of what the government is doing on an important issue to them, like housing, certainly will be to their political advantage, and that kind of we're seeing extended to what we saw the Prime Minister do today. He is in the Saguenay, Quebec area, which is, of course, home to the Chicoutimi-Le Fjord riding, another one of those by-elections that's coming up August 31st. There, it is a Conservative riding, or was. It's looking likely the Liberals could pick it up. So the Prime Minister visited Rio Tinto, a steel aluminum factory there, also talked about dairy supply management. So definitely, I think it's fair to say the Prime Minister is being deliberate in where he is spending his time this week in the lead up to by-elections there. And I think it probably wouldn't be too much of a stretch to predict that he will make his way to Vancouver, where that third by-election is being held sometime soon.
What are the chances? CTV's Rachel Aiello live for us in Ottawa. Thank you.
Thanks.
Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is questioning the Prime Minister's strategy in trade talks with the U.S., saying Carney's making concessions before even getting to the negotiating table.
He backed down on the digital services tax, the Netflix tax. He agreed to Mr. Trump's demands on military spending and counter tariffs. Many of these things were going to have to happen, but why not bring them to the bargaining table and get something in return for them?
Poilievre says the PM needs to focus on the results he promised when it comes to getting a trade deal done. Carney recently said Canada's tone toward the U.S. is quite firm and insists trade negotiations with Washington are constructive.
There has been very little detail about Dominic LeBlanc's return to Washington this week, but the Canada-U.S. Trade Minister's office has now released some of his itinerary. LeBlanc and the chief Canadian negotiator, Janice Golding, will meet with U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer at his D.C. office at 1 o'clock. The two Canadians are also scheduled to hold a virtual meeting with the provincial and territorial trade ministers today and with the Advisory Committee on Canada-U.S. Economic Relations. LeBlanc and Golding are in the U.S. Capitol to try and advance trade talks. An August 19th deadline is drawing closer for new 50% U.S. tariffs on a wide range of Canadian imports.
A new survey finds a quarter of Canadians say they're only able to afford minimum monthly payments on their credit cards each month. That's according to a new survey from Equifax. Another 7% believe they're likely to fall behind on payments. 56% said they do expect to pay their balances in full each month. The findings come as 40% report spending more overall than they were a year ago, and that's compared to 18% who say they're spending less. The agency says the results point to increased pressure on household finances.
35% of the respondents said that they have actually cut back on or stopped their savings, their retirement planning, their future education funds for children. And it's really hard to see that because in a way that's sacrificing the future in order to get through today, where just brand name breakfast cereal has become a luxury item.
67% of respondents say they have reduced entertainment and leisure expenses, while 40% have cut spending on personal care. In Washington, a Senate committee has voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress and refer him to the Justice Department for potential prosecution.
Dr. Fauci faced no risk of federal prosecution. All he had to do was tell the truth. More than 100 times, though, he refused. The chair ruled that Dr. Fauci's assertion of the Fifth Amendment privilege was unsupported in light of the pardon and the testimony he offered in his opening statement.
Today's vote focused on Fauci's refusal to answer questions at a hearing last week on his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination more than 100 times at the hearing. Fauci's lawyer called this morning's vote partisan and accused Senator Rand Paul of abusing his power by trying to weaponize the Justice Department.
Imagery released today shows traces of the impact made by part of a rocket that slammed into the moon. The second stage of a Falcon 9 rocket crashed into the lunar surface at high speed at around 2:35 Wednesday morning. The 4-ton school bus-sized object was traveling at more than 8,600 kilometers per hour. SpaceX said the debris was due to hit near the Einstein crater on the moon's western side, which is often difficult to see from Earth. Meantime, 2 astronauts are doing some work outside the International Space Station today. NASA says they're preparing the exterior of the ISS for the installation of rollout solar arrays. The arrays will provide the orbiting outpost with additional power during operations. They are scheduled for delivery later this year. Lindsay.
Well, the last couple of days, our temperatures have been pretty consistently in the upper 20s and will be over the next 7 days, too. But today is a hotter day. Here's a look at today's forecast highs. 30 degrees in parts of the GTA and around the Golden Horseshoe, feeling closer to 40 in places. So, of course, here are some reminders of what you should do to beat the heat. But today is also potentially an active weather day. And it's not just today. Next couple of days could be a little unsettled. Tonight is also going to be warm with an overnight low near 21. Stay with us. We'll take a detailed look at your weekend weather forecast after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. We had a pretty good start to the day. We've been rolling along pretty nicely, but now we're talking about unsettled weather.
I know. I'm sure there's people who looked outside and started their day thinking, oh, we're good. We got another nice day. We had such a great start to the week, hot, albeit.
Yeah.
But yes, so we've been anticipating this wet weather. What do we need to know?
It can also be a little deceiving when the clouds roll in and then the sky clears and it's sunny again. But on a day like this, sunshine could actually fuel the development of more storms later this afternoon and into the evening. So yes, it is a day where we want to be weather aware. All the ingredients are there for the development of some active, unsettled conditions. And it looks like the next couple of days are shaping up to be similar. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Here's another live look outside right now. Beautiful shot of our city skyline. But yes, I have noticed a bit of an increase in cloudiness. And there are a few sprinkles of rain impacting parts of the GTA. Here's what that looks like right now on the satellite and radar. Any heavier rain is well off to the northeast, but starting to see the development of a few showers across southwest Ontario and maybe a thunderstorm just starting to initiate there over Lake Huron. So we are going to keep an eye on things as we make our way through the rest of this afternoon. As a front moves through, that's going to change our wind direction. We'll have a northwesterly breeze. And then we are looking at some more widespread wet weather into tomorrow morning. Let me show you how that's shaping up on the forecast radar. But first, a heads up. Late this afternoon, early evening, chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms. That's a snapshot of about 4 p.m. Then we look to dry out. Cloud cover increases overnight. And then that's around 9, 10 a.m. tomorrow. We could get a good little drenching of rain. And then in the afternoon, clearing out once again. Hopefully some dry weather for Friday evening. Lots of people have plans. Taste of the Danforth kicking off again. Fingers crossed that we can stay dry. Saturday, chance of showers. Once again, it's not going to be an all-day event, but that threat of active weather is there. So this is about 3 p.m. And I'm pausing it again as we make our way into the evening hours. So depending on where you are, what you're doing, might not be a bad idea to have a backup indoor option. But again, it's not looking like an all-day event. Sunday should be filled with sunshine, so you can at least look forward to that. Rainfall amounts are going to vary here depending on who gets thunderstorms, who does not, but this might give you a little bit of an idea of who's expected to get the most active weather as far as precip is concerned. Right now it is 27 degrees. It's becoming a little more humid out there. It feels like 34 right now. Our almanac for the day. Ottawa, one of the hot spots right now. 21 degrees for a low. This is now borderline uncomfortable for sleeping. 27 degrees, our expected high for tomorrow, feeling like 35, and it is going to be a muggy day tomorrow in addition to being a bit unsettled with that threat of active weather. But much like really today, tomorrow and Saturday, it's not an all-day event. Sunday looking great. Notice how our temperatures remain pretty consistent into next week. We're also going to watch Monday for the chance of some wet weather returning once more. That is your weather for now. Michelle, I'm going to send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, as we count down to the return of the Taste of the Danforth Festival, the federal government is joining the city and province in providing funding. Organizers announcing last night that for the first time in the festival's history, all three levels of government are pitching in for the event. Ottawa is giving $100,000 toward this year's festival, which is happening this weekend. The announcement comes after local politicians and community leaders sent an open letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney expressing their, quote, profound disappointment that Ottawa was not providing funding.
You know, there were people that were NDP, conservative liberals, and they said, hey, we can't agree upon much, but we can agree that it's important and symbolic to have this iconic festival come back. And we can't argue with that. It's really something that regardless of your political persuasion, regardless of the level of the government, you know, the province, you know, with Premier Ford, the Mayor Chow, they said, our people have told us that it's important and we're going to put our money where our beliefs are. And, you know, it just took a little longer for the feds.
Taste of the Danforth begins tomorrow and runs through Sunday.
As the second season of the smash hit Heated Rivalry gets set to film, those behind the show are asking fans for some space. The hit Crave series is preparing to film parts of its second season in Toronto through the summer and fall. The two stars of the hit Crave series have both been spotted around the city in recent weeks, but with excited fans eager to see the stars and the filming of the series, the production company behind the series is asking fans to keep their distance. In a statement posted to Instagram, the team behind the show thanked fans for their support, enthusiasm, and kindness, but also asked for space, saying, if you happen to come across one of our filming locations, please give our cast and crew the space they need to do what they do best. We promise it will be worth the wait. Season 2 of Heated Rivalry is expected to premiere in April of next year.
Still ahead, a U.S.-based company wants to harness light from the sun and use it in darkness. Critics are casting doubt on the claims. We'll explain just ahead.
The mother of a man who died in OPP custody at the Rockwood detachment near Guelph 2 years ago is suing the province and several officers.
The $3.7 million wrongful death lawsuit alleges Nathaniel Schofield's death could have been prevented. CTV's Spencer Turcott has the details.
It was filed on the exact date of his death, July 10th.
2 years after Nathaniel Schofield died while in provincial police custody at the Rockwood detachment, his mother, Faye Gaines, filed a wrongful death lawsuit at the Kitchener courthouse.
It's kind of like being in a movie, and I've been on an ongoing cliffhanger in numerous ways.
The lawsuit comes after Gaines filed formal complaints with Ontario's Law Enforcement Complaints Agency and following an SIU investigation that cleared officers of any wrongdoing.
My son was neglected, and the neglect caused his death. He could have easily been saved that night.
The statement of claim names the province, 4 OPP members, and several unidentified officers and civilian employees. Gaines is suing the parties for $3.7 million, alleging her son died because police failed to provide adequate medical care while he was being held at the South Wellington Operations Center.
This was given to me as a gift when Nathaniel died.
According to the lawsuit, Schofield told officers he had recently used fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine and expected to experience withdrawal symptoms. The claim alleges officers knew, or ought to have known, he was at an increased risk of a medical emergency.
They had hours and hours and hours, and they had information from him directly that could have saved him. They're trained in CPR. He was not given CPR by anybody.
The 36-year-old father of 6 from Arthur deteriorated overnight and suffered a medical emergency in his cell the next morning. He was taken to Guelph General Hospital where he was pronounced dead. The lawsuit also alleges broader systemic failures, including inadequate policies, training, and supervision.
We need what I'm calling ACAC. Answers, change, accountability, consequences.
The allegations have not been proven in court. The Ontario Provincial Police tell CTV News they have received the statement of claim. As the matter may be subject to legal proceedings and out of respect for the judicial process, the OPP will not be providing further comment at this time. For Gaines, she hopes the lawsuit leads to more clarity about what happened and believes it could prevent another family from experiencing the same loss.
I won't stop. I've promised that, and here I am 2 years later still fighting for him.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News.
For the last year, a carpool lot off Highway 401 in Cambridge has been home to dozens of people living in trailers. And this week, the province moved in, clearing the site, saying people staying there had to move on.
And while most people left peacefully, others pushed back. CTV's Jeff Pickle explains.
The tow truck's on site early Wednesday morning at the Town Line Road carpool lot.
We got notice 5 days ago that all the trailers had to be moved out of the parking lot because someone gave a complaint against the parking lot.
The message from the MTO, get out or get towed.
Which I don't understand because no one here did anything wrong. It was a quiet area. We cleaned up after ourselves.
Some of the 20 to 30 trailers moved out over the last few days. Others agreed to be towed this morning.
We've tried to talk to the security about giving us a couple extra hours to try and figure out stuff, and they're being completely, they say they're not going to be unreasonable, but they're also like, get out. So
they say with no other options to legally park, they don't know what's next.
But we literally have nowhere else to go. And they offer free tows, but where are they going to tow us? They can't tow us to somebody else's private property. They won't do it.
According to the MTO notice issued to residents, maintenance staff of the Ministry of Transportation has identified your vehicle as being unattended, abandoned, or a non-commuting motor vehicle. Adding commuter parking lots are not intended for the storage of vehicles or trailers, abandoned or otherwise. By early afternoon, 2 trailers remain. The residents refusing to leave and questioning the MTO has the legal right to remove them.
We did get a notice, but it was less than a week ago. It had no name on who wrote the letter, no signatory.
George and Rachel were some of the first people to start living at the park.
It fit the criteria of what I needed, which was just a place to be able to just save up some money, so I could get out, do some work, save up some money, and get back into a house or an apartment.
They say making life harder for people trying to get back on their feet makes little sense.
Where are they going to go? I mean, anyone in the community could probably guess.
Many of those who live in the area say they are happy to see the site cleaned up.
If they were clean and tidy, I guarantee nobody would complain. If they were doing their own business, clean and tidy, kept everything organized, but they don't, right? Like, they just don't.
Kevin says he contacted law enforcement, the MTO, at every level of government to try to get the site cleared, but until today, got nowhere.
I got every excuse you can ever think of that they needed more support, that we got to talk to them before we move them. And listen, I understood that people need help, right? But they took advantage of the help.
George and Rachel say they are not sure what tomorrow will bring, but they are worried about their former neighbors.
He might go wander around a plaza or two for a while until he starts looking, suspicious. Like he's going to end up somewhere, and unfortunately, that very well may be an encampment. And then what?
Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Cambridge.
A U.S.-based company wants to harness the power of the sun and reflect it back on Earth, even at night, aiming to shed light where and when it's needed most.
But as CTV's Dan Unger reports, some scientists are already throwing shade on the idea.
delivering sunlight on demand with a constellation of satellites. That's the goal of Reflect Orbital.
With control over sunlight, solar energy can power the world forever.
The U.S.-based space startup says its satellites will be able to transform into giant mirrors, reflecting a 5-kilometer-wide beam of sunlight that could illuminate disaster response areas, boost the agricultural sector, and energize solar farms after dark. It hopes to have over 50,000 satellites in orbit by 2035.
This is like comic book villain plots or something like that.
Manitoba Museum Planetarium astronomer Scott Young is not shy about his concerns with the project.
So this will completely kill astronomy, not just amateurs who just love looking at the sky, but also research astronomy, because one of these satellites going over a big telescope will pretty much fry the camera.
Those concerns extend beyond the world of astronomy.
The risks really seem to me to outweigh any possible benefit.
Danielle Pahoud, the director of the U of M's Lockhart Planetarium, worries these solar spotlights could impact human sleep and health, create more light pollution, and throw off nocturnal wildlife that relies on the night sky.
Nighttime as we know it will be gone, and it will have a devastating impact on our ecosystem, and it's all interconnected.
Reflect Orbital tells CTV News it's committed to ongoing dialogue and has commissioned third-party research on the impacts of its technology, including environmental impact assessments, adding its service will be targeted and customers will require permits to receive it. It seems the world may soon see at least one of these satellites in action. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission has given the green light to test this project, and Reflect Orbital plans to launch a satellite later this year. Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Still to come, the Double Blue is back. We're gearing up for the Argos home opener. More on the big game just ahead.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The trade wars prompted some provinces to enact bans on American booze, which has become a major irritant for Washington.
But as CTV's Abigail Beeman shows us, most Canadians still appeared to support the measure.
On a sunny summer day outside this LCBO, most people tell us they aren't missing an American cold one.
Just avoid American, and I look for Canadian brands.
No, I think we've done a good job replacing it with Canadian alternatives.
It's hard to feel like spending the little extra money people have these days on, you know, a country full of politicians, business folks that really don't seem to, A, treat us with respect, or B, have perhaps more nefarious plans.
If American alcohol went back on the shelf, according to new polling from Nanos done exclusively for CTV News, just under 3/4 of Canadians, 74%, are unlikely to buy it. And that's an increase from last year.
Canadians are digging their heels.
Currently, only Saskatchewan and Alberta don't block American alcohol. Nick Nano says the polling gives premiers ammunition to stand their ground.
Also a bit of ammunition if you're in the American wine, spirits, distillery business, to tell the administration, if you want Canadians to buy American wine and spirits, the best path is to get a deal and bring things back to normal.
The president cited provincial booze bans as one of the reasons behind new 50% tariffs he says will come down later this month. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is currently in D.C. for meetings.
We may not end up with a deal before the deadline, but what we've seen with the Trump administration is if you get close, sometimes the president extends the deadline.
LeBlanc's team says he'll be staying in D.C. tonight with a return date back to Canada not yet confirmed. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
The union representing cabin crew at WestJet is sharing details of the tentative deal that brought their one-day strike to an end. CUPE says the deal includes a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, along with increased time off and higher food and uniform allowances. It also features a new duty period premium that adds compensation for work done on the ground. That issue is one of the key sticking points in the labor dispute. All WestJet flights were grounded Sunday as 4,400 flight attendants walked off the job. The tentative agreement was announced early Monday, bringing operations back online. Members will vote on the deal in the coming weeks.
Even in the heat of summer, it can be a struggle to get kids off screens.
But a new summer camp here in the city is aiming to change that, pairing children with seniors. CTV's multimedia journalist Corey Baird has the story.
Oh, this one here, it's beautiful.
Even with 85 years separating them, a shared love of art is forging a fast friendship between Romy and Betty.
I must say I'm doing a good job.
This intergenerational summer camp pairs children with senior citizens. It's a unique give and take, a way for seniors to shake things up a bit, while the children benefit from knowledge and wisdom that can only be gained over a lifetime.
Well, that looks pretty good.
Do these paintings portray a sunrise or a sunset? It might very well depend on where you're at in life.
The seniors will tell me stories, and I think the stories are really interesting.
I'm sight impaired, and so it's difficult for me to do any artistry, but I want to try. And this young lady helped me.
The camp is back by popular demand after a successful trial run last summer.
A lot of our seniors that are here either don't have families, or the families that they do have live far away. So being able to bring children in helps with that social isolation that some of them experience. And honestly, just with the emotional and social stimulation, the kids are very helpful for our seniors' mental health.
The day's events ending with a friendly watermelon eating competition. You're never too old to laugh at yourself, and you're never too young to make a lifelong memory.
Oh, I think it gives us a boost. It helps us remember when we were young.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
The Toronto Blue Jays are in action this afternoon, looking to build on last night's thrilling extra innings win.
Batters facing relievers in back-to-back nights.
Ernie with a drive, out to left field and deep, and he'll watch it go.
The game was tied at 3 in the 10th when Early Clement delivered a 2-run homer. Houston would get one back in the bottom of the inning, but Toronto took it 5-4. At 2:20 today, the Jays face the Cubs in Chicago. It's a makeup game after an earlier meeting was postponed by rain. Dylan Cease starts for Toronto.
Tempo run to the corner. Conde for 3. Conde lighting it up right now. 11 points, 3 of 4 from outside.
The Toronto Tempo are in the midst of a 7-game losing skid, but they'll try to get back in the win column against the Fire tonight. All-star guard Marina Mabry leads Toronto into the game in Portland. She's averaging 20.6 points per game this season.
Motion to go inside. They go Tempo again. Deep look, wide open, touchdown.
The Toronto Argonauts finally play their first game at a revamped BMO Field tonight. The Boatmen are coming off a bye week to host the Calgary Stampeders. The Argos opened their season with 7 straight road games after the stadium was used during the FIFA World Cup, but they were listed as the home team in 3 of them.
Finishing with a flourish.
Leylah Fernandez is the last Canadian standing in either men's or women's singles play at the National Bank Open. The native of Laval, Quebec, breezed past her opponent 6-2, 6-2 in Toronto last night. On the men's side, Felix Auger-Aliassime had to withdraw because of an injury.
Coming up, it started off as an idea to spread positivity. An Elgin County woman creates a sunflower experience that will soon be open to the public. An Elgin County woman has realized her dream of creating a sunflower experience unlike any other.
And as CTV's Sean Irvin tells us, it'll soon be open for others to enjoy.
This field full of sunflowers is literally an idea come true for West Elgin resident Jody Aldred. The 29-year-old recently returned to this area and within a few months envisioned the concept and the message.
From the aerial view, you can see a bumblebee, the word kind, and then a walking path.
The words match Aldred's new vision in life, which she hopes to share with others.
I wanted something that could resonate with everyone, and I landed on Be Kind Blooms, and I want it to be a space where people come and they don't worry about yesterday or tomorrow. I think the mission behind the patch is just live for today, choose joy, and be kind.
There are nearly 30 acres of blooms here, which adds up to, get this, almost 600,000 sunflowers. It takes about 20 minutes to walk the wide trails if you don't stop.
Unless you know someone, you don't always have a chance to step foot on farm and truly just enjoy it at a slow pace.
But most visitors probably will, including a select few who book in advance for a date night experience in one of 5 open areas.
You can go to a restaurant any day of the week, but not every day can you drive out to the country and come and enjoy a sunset and sunflowers.
As a young entrepreneur, Jody hopes the field she created in partnership with family and local businesses attracts people to West Elgin.
West Elgin honestly lacks something to draw people, so for people to come out and give them reason to come and enjoy the country.
The field opens this Friday, with all proceeds on August 25th going to the Children's Health Foundation. In West Elgin, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
What do you think? A place to have lunch, perhaps?
That looks beautiful.
Cozy.
Sunflowers are magical. My grandparents had them growing up, and they get so big, and picking the seeds out was always so fun.
So perfect for this time of year. And there are quite a few sunflower fields around the GTA, too. If you're looking to check one out, today might be a good day to do that. Although I do encourage you to keep an eye on the sky, perhaps the radar on your phone if you have access to that, because we do have the risk of thunderstorms today. Hey, tonight the Argos are back at BMO Field. Hopefully the weather cooperates tomorrow. We've got Taste of the Danforth kicking off, among other events. So yes, fingers crossed for improving weather conditions. Just again, keep an eye on the conditions before you do venture out. There's one more look at the 7-day forecast. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Take care.
See you then.